Hello everyone, thank you for tuning into the channel. Let's go ahead and create a vNet inside of Microsoft Azure. Remember, if you like what you see, like, subscribe, and share. All right, everybody, here we are on my Windows desktop, and I'm logged into the Azure admin portal, and we are going to create our virtual network or vNet. I'm going to go ahead and locate a resource group. Remember, you can use the global search field up here, and you can look for resource group and recent services. You can also use the dashboard here too if you want to select resource groups from this location, take you to the same spot here. And if you haven't created a resource group, I encourage you to check out my video on creating a resource group inside of Azure. Remember, it allows you to bundle a solution together. So we're going to go ahead, we'll select this resource group. And then from here, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to choose Create. And we go to the marketplace here, and this gives us the ability to search for what it is that we want to create. In my case, I'm going to go ahead and type virtual, and we should see machine or network at the top. I'm going to choose virtual network. And I don't have a virtual network created yet, so I'm not going to create a virtual network gateway. We are, though, going to locate virtual network here in the list, and we will choose virtual network. And this gives us the ability to start through the basic resource creation wizard that you will see. Let me get this out of the way here. And you can see we've got a few things that we can configure for our vNet here. First thing we're going to do is we will define the subscription and the resource group. We've already done that. If you wanted to create a resource group, you can do that here as well. I'm going to go ahead and I will name the virtual network here. I'm going to call this like you've seen in some of my other videos for my naming convention. I like to keep all the components pretty much named the same. So this would be Cloud Plus 03-VNet. And I'll just do an 01 so we can create additional ones if we need to. And then from here, for resource availability, I can choose the regions. I usually choose East US or East US 2. I believe if I scroll up a little bit, we'll find it. You'll find it here in the list. My apologies for making you seasick there. Hopefully you took your Dramamine, but I'll go ahead and choose East US and we'll choose next. Now we can apply, if we want to, we can choose network encryption. We can put a bastion, an Azure bastion in here so that if we want to connect to internal resources, we don't need a public IP address. We could also create a virtual appliance here too, the Azure Firewall, and enable things like the distributed denial of service protection here too. I'm going to go ahead and just leave this at the defaults. And then here's where we can define our address space. I'll go ahead, I'm going to keep the address space the same, but one of the things I want to do is I want to change this around a little bit. So I want to create additional subnets, and first thing I'm going to do is modify the default here. I don't mind the default, but what I don't want to do is have that be its name. We're going to call this dev for our development network, and you can see that it's going to assign a /24 notation there, and you can see the available addresses that we have. We'll choose save here, and it changes that. Notice that it did change it kind of in real time. Now I'm going to go back up here, and I'm going to choose to add another subnet. And it wants to name this one default as well too, but we'll call this staging. And you'll notice that it's going to give it the next sequential network in the list, and that's what I want. I'm going to go ahead, and if I wanted to, I could turn on an IPv6 range for this virtual network too. I'm going to go ahead and choose add, and then we've got our second subnet. Maybe I'll add one more, maybe a couple more, right? So I'll add one. We'll call this production. Let me capitalize it, keep my naming convention consistent here, especially with my typing capabilities. All right, and it's the next sequential address space for our subnet exciter notation here. So we'll go ahead and notice that we could, if we wanted to, we could attach a gateway or attach a network security group. But if you want to get more information on this, you can always hover over. I know I call them thought bubbles. I know that's not what they are. Little exclamation points gives you some additional information about the components that you're configuring. We're going to go ahead and choose add. We now have 3 here as well. Maybe I want to add maybe a 4th subnet, and in this case, maybe I call this Azure Firewall subnet. This is a reserved subnet. Notice that it's telling you, hey, wait a second here. This is a dedicated subnet. That's what I want, but what I have to do here is I have to change the subnet purpose. Notice it doesn't say, it's not a default here. Now what we're doing is we're creating an Azure Firewall. Notice one thing too with a firewall subnet. subnet, I don't get the option to change what the size is here. So we'll go ahead and we'll choose add to this. And so far we've got we're you know, kind of developing our IPv4 address range the way we want. If we choose down here, we can add an IPv6 address space too as well, and then we could choose next. Tagging, remember tagging is good for chargeback. We talk about cost allocation and holding teams responsible, you know, giving accountability for the resources that are being deployed to your cloud infrastructure. So for instance, maybe this is a marketing team, maybe this is a campaign. You can see the variety of different decoupled resources that I can now associate with a marketing team here for, again, chargeback and cost allocation. You can choose next, and it's going to go through the process of running validation. If I wanted to, I could choose this automation template. I could view this, and what it'll do is give me the JSON, and I can download this, and if I want to deploy this in an automated fashion, I can. I'm going to go ahead and close that down, and we will choose create. All right, so not a very hefty lift when it comes to deploying and creating a virtual machine. You can start to see some of the decoupled components when you deploy a resource here. So like a virtual machine in other episodes or lessons that I've shown you, videos, you can see quite a few different decoupled components. I'm going to go ahead and choose home here, and then I'm going to go and just choose the recently used icons here. Go back to resource group. We're going to go to the Cloud Plus 03 resource group. All right, and notice it doesn't have anything in it. Just refresh, and you might see, again, one of the gentlemen I used to work for said, never fear the refresh. So we'll go ahead and choose our newly created virtual network, and now we can see a variety of settings. Here we can use Resource Visualizer here if we want to, and we can see the network. I can go down here and I can look at the address space if I want to. Notice our IPv4 address space and our IPv6 address space and the available addresses for those spaces. Any devices that might be connected. I don't have anything connected currently because we just created this. Here are our subnets that we could delete, we could view and modify if we want. It's not a set it and forget it type thing. If you need to make some configurations after the fact, you can. I'm going to go ahead and close that down. If we need to attach a bastion, if we want, maybe we don't want to give public IP addresses to the resources within this virtual network here, then we can create a bastion here, deploy one, and essentially connect to the bastion, and then we could connect to the resources behind the bastion, allowing us to close off that public type interface. Other settings, I'm going to go ahead and close that down. Other settings that that we can look at, let me get back in there, kind of jumped too many spaces here. Again, DDoS protection, our firewall. We can still add a firewall after the fact. We can integrate malware and endpoint protection and protection for our cloud-based resources here through Microsoft Defender for Cloud. Let me go back to our interface here. We could add service endpoints if we need to connect more than one. If we want more than one vNET to be able to communicate, because remember, in a virtual network, we are isolating those resources that are attached to that virtual network, and they can't communicate with other vNets. This is a way to kind of break down those boundaries and allow a resource in one virtual network to communicate across those boundaries into another virtual network. Right, and we can do other things too, monitoring. Remember, we talked about automation too here. We can automate tasks and stuff. A lot of great things that we can do. But there you have it, everybody. Again, not a heavy lift when it comes to deploying a vNet inside of Microsoft Azure. And I hope you've enjoyed this lesson. If you have, remember, make a comment down in the comment section, like and subscribe. All of that helps the channel out as well as helps me and supports me and goes a long way for helping me to create additional content. Thank you so much for watching.